Hey, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. I got a replay analysis here for Mercury. Lots of zeros and a 1. Relatively new player with 8,000 battles. Got his IS-3 loaded into, where are we? Sand River. It is a standard map and he's over on the east side. Alright, Mercury. So some of this is going to be a little rough. I'm going to be brutally honest as we go through this. I will ask you before I put this on the website, before I put this on YouTube, whether you're okay with it being out there. Otherwise, this will just be between you and me. Otherwise, here we go. There are some things to learn. So, from the beginning, the start of the match starts with the load in. And I'm not sure if you're AFK or what you're doing right here, but what I do is, and this is your view, you're just sort of looking at your gun. I look around, I look at my tanks, look at my team, like I'm doing right now, the directions I can go, and I start to take it all in. You may have been doing that. You weren't moving the camera, but that's a small thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all these little small things together because it all adds up to SA to improve your game. All right? So your positioning decision is to go to the north. Not a bad decision. You are bottom tier in a tier 10 battle, and I like the idea of going up the hill up into the A0, A9 area. As you are traveling and you're looking straight forward, you need to have your turret looking towards where you believe the first threat is going to come from. Where do you believe the first threat is going to come from? I think you know because eventually you will see it, and hindsight is 20/20, but the first threat you may see is off to your left, a scout or fast medium poking up over that ridge, that little sand berm on your left. What's going to happen is I believe it's a WZ is going to show up here. There he is. And then eventually you're going to notice it, you get lit, you look over. When I ran through this the first time, or the second time actually, I zoomed out and I used the free camera to kind of look over there. The WZ does top out over the top of that little sand berm. Not very much, but you may have had a shot right there. Alright, and that's a shot you would take on the move. There's no reason to stop and try to zoom in unless he's being very stupid and coming over and stopping. Take that shot on the move and keep going. There's no arty in this game, so you don't have to worry about that. That's nice. And more than likely, a big gun's not going to come up and over that sand berm this early. Still, just take that snap because what you really want to do is you want to get up into your initial position, but you'll take any shots of opportunity that are given to you on the way, and don't be afraid to just snap one off. Now that we're talking about shots, and I'll keep going here. Dude, you do not need 11 HE in this tank. Alright, so your loadout should probably be, and if you're trying to save some money, no more than about 4. I would put 4 APCR, so put 4 gold rounds in this thing, set it up to pay for them with silver. Probably 2 HE, maybe 4, and then the rest of it needs to be AP. And you make a decision now to get up on this spot here. And in general, your positioning decisions are not good right now. Alright, I would have gone straight up into the A0, A9. What I'm talking about is going up with these guys. This is a relatively fast tank. You're going to need to run it more or less like a medium in this match based on being bottom tier and its decent speed. Get up there and support the medium, so you're just kind of a beefier medium. KR gets wrecked. No shot there. If there was arty in this game, this would be a horrific spot to be. Especially if you got spotted and sat there for a long time. Trend item for you during this entire battle is you are more or less not in the battle. Alright, you're very passive. You're sitting around waiting for somebody to drive in front of your gun. You're not looking for shots. Earlier, the first time I looked through and you were staring at this sand berm, I was going to say there's no way that 50B is going to come up and over that thing, and then there he goes. So that surprised me a little bit, but he's not being threatened at all from down in the middle, so he feels free to do it. And now you're coming up here to back up the Type 5 and the T57. So you've got a pretty good turret on this tank, and you've got to know the strengths of your tank, right? Hopefully you know that the IS-3 has a pretty strong turret, even against the Tier 9 tanks, and come up here and start working with these guys. So look for that shot. Oh boy, what are we looking at? What? You had a shot on that 57 if you'd have just worked for it. Alright, so get in there, get up and over a little bit, move it, there you go, and you just didn't pin. And that's a case where your APCR may have helped you out right there, and you'd have had one shot. So you've probably left at least 2 shots on the table by now. Very passive, kind of looking for it here, not getting it. All right, so let's take a look at what we got going on. Get the WZ work in the middle. There's a Centurion 7.1, a 54 E1. You've got an E75 there, a 57, and there's something else tucked in there, an AMX of some kind. All right, you've got your 57 and your Type 5 there, and you're hiding behind this wreck. What I would be doing is moving over with the 57 and the Type 5 and looking for shots onto that E75's hatch like you've been doing. So good awareness of a weak spot. I like that. Or maybe even just tuck up into this 46 and push it forward as armor. See if you can push it forward up over that hill and get yourself a little closer to your work. Okay, so yeah, I think you realize that you were having a hard time getting a shot on that side, so you come over here. It's better than where you were, and I think you might move forward soon. I'm not sure. Okay, the Type 5's doing some work. You're going to come up, and we're looking for a shot. Trying to get a perfect shot. I'd have snapped that a little earlier and got out of the way. Here comes the AMX. That's right, AMX 50B is the other tank that's over here. You tend to drive around looking through the soda straw, and what I mean by that is you're in full zoom, just sort of looking for shots, kind of pointing your gun where you think you might want to shoot. You need to do a lot more zooming out, especially when you're not shooting. I think this is the interesting choice for me right here. You got that 50B looking for shots. You got it. You got dead to right, and you change for some reason to the E75. I'd have nailed that 50B right in the side. That was your priority target right there, and you had a much better chance of pinning him than you did the E75. So just bad shot selection right there, and that one just missed. So not a bad attempt. That is a weak spot right there, but you're going to have a hard time pinning it, and you get up on a rock. And that's pretty typical of people who are fighting through the soda straw. So you're so channelized on these two guys that you're not really paying attention to either where you're moving your tank, where you're really positioned, or where other tanks are around you that you might have shots on. You're going to come up here and start. Now you're all enamored of the two guys up top there. Now realize, get on the mini map here, this FV and this M46 are keeping them from coming around that corner and hitting you. Okay, more than likely. The 5041 could tuck up into the very edge right here and maybe get a shot down on you, but it's highly unlikely. And that may be what you're looking for right there. Oh, what about that grill? Grills are soft, but nope, you're really fixated on those guys. There goes the Type 5, and then you back off. So that grill is lit, man. Push around the corner just enough, use that strong turret, and see if you can get a shot on that grill. So that's probably 3 or 4 shots left on the table by now. You lost one of your big beefy friends. You've got a 57. What is he doing? He is getting out of there with his 1%, and now you're pretty fixated on the two guys up north. Again, being very passive. You're just waiting here for somebody to drive in front of your gun. Let's see what we got. Nope, nothing going on, and there's just a lot of dead time, right? This is not very proactive, very passive. Now, you could go look for some shots on the E75, potentially. But you do know that the grill is up there and he can cause you issues. But I would at least come around the edge here and see what you can see. Especially if you might be able to surprise that E75. This is a place where your lack of gold is hurting you. And I thought that was a good change in shot selection. You just got unlucky. Now you're going to end up missing him. That was a decent idea. But back to the gold thing. The E75 is the place where you're suffering from not having a gold because you'd have been pinning his turret through the face. Right here you just got hit by the Uds. You can see your little hit marker, 439. It came from that direction. So he's up in that saddle or back over here. But when you got lit, he's outside of your view or vision range or spotting range, and he just shot you. And look at this big flat area in front of you and watch what you do. Okay, this is all in hit point preservation. You get fixated on this guy, and it seems like you just forget that the Uds has been shooting you. You back up a little bit, but then you get hammered again. So I'd have just kept on backing up. You needed to not stop there. Keep backing up. Come down this little rise right here so that that Uds doesn't have any more shots on you. I understand that the 5041 looked like he was coming, but your bigger threat at the moment was the Uds, because he was fully zoomed in, just waiting to reload on you. Not really understanding why you're backing up this much right here. Tuck into that dead T-57 right there. Use him as armor. Now you got a bunch of side armor. Look at this. I can't show you now. But you're sitting sideways of that 5041, who I believe is reloading. And again, very passive, just sort of looking around. So what can you do? What could you do? Options are get back up here and force the situation a little bit, but that huge is there. So I don't think putting yourself out in the open up here is a good idea anymore. These two up here are still holding on to these two. So since you can't go this way, and there's nobody, it appears, pushing you here, your options are go up here and help these guys. Okay, maybe come around the edge of this and down below. But for my money, it would be reposition back here and see what you can do to help the guys down the south. And you're just basically staring in one spot. What's interesting about that is you were soda straw right, kind of zoomed in right here. And because you weren't zoomed out enough to see that those two were up there at the top, you stared for a while here thinking, I don't know what, but potentially one of those two guys is going to come down. But if you either looked at the mini-map or were zoomed out enough, you would tell that they're actually up at the top of the hill, and it's very unlikely for that 3 or 4 or 5 seconds you sat there that one of them was going to show up in front of your gun. So that's why I'm talking about the zoom out, gain some insight and some intel. And you also tend to kind of point at random things like that wall right there, that big rock. I mean, you're not going to get any shots right there. Nobody's going to show up there. There you go. That's better. Okay, he's coming. See how you zoomed out and you got some SA that he was moving? There we go. Just unlucky you missed him right there. And then you back up. All right, this is an interesting thing because guys will tend to shoot and back up. For my money, I'd have shot and gone straight up into that T-57 and just hid myself behind that guy. Shoot and push forward right to him. No problem. Right now, you're just out in the open. That 5041 is either looking for the best aimed shot or he's not quite reloaded. And that's just unlucky. Again, you're going for the Centurion and you're gone. He loads gold, takes you out. So man, let's talk about a couple things. Number one, make sure you're looking at where the threat is. Number two, zoom out a little bit more and take a little more stock of your immediate situation. Number three, you've got to get a little bit more aggressive. I'm not talking about YOLO and charging at them, but you've got to look for more shots, all right? You don't look for enough shots. You've got to create shots. If you sit around waiting for shots to be created for you, then you'll stay at the same level that you're at, okay, which is probably not the level you want to be at, seeing as you came and asked for a little advice on what's going on. Shot selection in a couple cases was an issue. It looks like you're aiming at weak spots. When you do get a good shot, it looks like a pretty good shot, so there are some positives to build on right there. But at your level, where you're starting to understand weak points, how to kind of maneuver your tank, it's now a little bit more, a lot more actually, about gathering SA about what's going on around you, and then making your shots, all right? Not making as in I made the hit, but making as in I created opportunities to take shots. So I hope this helps. As I said, I will ask if you're okay with me putting this on YouTube. If not, there you have it. And if you want me to do any more, send me the replays, I'll do it. If we do get it on YouTube, for everybody else, I hope it helped. We'll catch y'all later. We will see you.